Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my guide for a 2019 to 2020 Ram 2500 Power Wagon. And like I said, I wanted to do a standalone video on this truck just because it's such a specialty item, and yeah, I just feel like it deserves its own video. So in the first part, I'm going to go over the engine option that you can get for the Power Wagon, and I'm actually going to answer a question I get all the time, and that's if you can get a diesel with a Power Wagon, or why can't you get a diesel with a Power Wagon. After that, I'm going to go into the interior packages. Then I'll get into the different options you can get in the Power Wagon, what I recommend, what I don't recommend. And then finally, we're going to go over color options and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, let's get into the video. So the first part obviously is going to be on the engine options, or I should say option. There's only one engine you can get for the Power Wagon, and that is the 6.4 Hemi. That'll come paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, like I said, I have people ask me all the time, Ben, why can't I get a Power Wagon with a diesel? The reason that you can't get a Power Wagon with a diesel is simply because of weight. So the Power Wagon with the 6.4 liter Hemi only has a payload of about 1,500 pounds. And the 6.7 liter Cummins is a very heavy engine. If Ram tried to add that engine into the Power Wagon, it would basically get rid of most of its payload, and already its payload's pretty low for a 2500 truck. And the reason its payload's so low is because of the suspension, right? You have the sway bar disconnect, and then also the fact you have a 2-inch lift, which lifts don't really affect payload all that much. They can to an extent, but I mean, that's less so. But the biggest thing is just all the suspension components, the fact that they're kind of ready for the off-road, just with how much they move up and down. That's not very good when you're towing, so it does lower the payload capacity. So between the sway bar disconnect and the off-road suspension, the Power Wagon doesn't have a very big payload. Because it doesn't have a very big payload, it can't handle how heavy the Cummins is. If they put the Cummins in that truck, I mean, I'm pretty sure the front end would just be like, wha-bam. So they'd have to do a ton of reinforcing, and then if they did that, the truck obviously wouldn't be as good on the off-road because you wouldn't be able to have as much up and down motion with the suspension. And so, yeah, it would kind of run a lot to do with the Power Wagon. So that's why they don't offer a diesel engine. Now, could they do like a smaller diesel, like the EcoDiesel? Yeah, they could, but the problem then is that it has so little power compared to the 6.4 Hemi that everyone would just get a 6.4 Hemi anyways. So yeah, that's why the Power Wagon has a 6.4 Hemi. That's the only engine you can get with it, and trust me, the 6.4 Hemi is just more than enough for that truck, especially when you're in like really crappy conditions on the off-road. I've seen so many videos, and my friend used to own one, and that thing literally just, it goes through everything. It's crazy how good the Power Wagon is on the off-road. In terms of interior options, and what I mean by interior options is the interior itself. You basically have a couple different interior packages. Now, you've got like the entry-level package, which is like the Tradesman Power Wagon. That's like your base model interior. Then you kind of have like a Bighorn Power Wagon, which will have still like the cloth seats, but then it'll have a few upgrades. And then you have like the Laramie Power Wagon, which will have leather seats and most of the upgrades. Now, me personally, if you want a base model truck, go for the Tradesman. However, how I feel is I would get the Laramie just because obviously it has all the upgrades, but the other thing is that leather is going to be a lot easier to clean than cloth is when you get mud all over it. I've already experienced this with my Raptor. My Raptor has these suede inserts with these Recaro seats, and that part of the seat is extremely difficult to clean. The part that is the, well, it's not real leather, but the leather part, right? The leather part is really easy to clean. And the Power Wagon uses similar leather to what Ford has. Well, leather. And again, it's super easy to clean. So if you can fit it in your budget, I'd recommend getting the Laramie package, just because it'll come obviously with a bunch of nice standard equipment. You'll get heated cooled seats, heated steering wheel, bigger touchscreen, nicer sound system. You get all of the nice upgrades on the interior. And then when you do take it off-road, it'll be a lot easier to clean the seats than cloth, because yeah, cloth can be pretty difficult. So that's definitely what I'd go for in terms of the interior on the Power Wagon. And yeah, that's all I have to say there. Let's get into interior options on the Power Wagon itself. And by the way, if you hear a bunch of honking, it's because the high school just got out, and you know how high school kids are. But anyways, interior options on the Power Wagon. Let's start with the safety tech and then just the tech in general. If I was to get options on the interior, in terms of the screen, I would recommend going for the 8.4 inch over the 12 inch if you're okay with the 8.4 inch. The reason being is it's going to save you quite a bit of money, and the 8.4 inch has all the same functionality as a 12 inch. It's just a little bit smaller. Yes, you don't get the split screen function, and yes, it doesn't look as cool, but I don't know. I like having analog buttons and all that, so I'd recommend the 8.4 inch. If you get the 12 inch, sure, why not? I don't really care. That's your money, but my recommendation would be the 8.4 inch. In terms of safety tech, this depends. If you live out in like a rural area where there's not really a lot of people around you, safety tech is kind of pointless because you're not really going to use it all that much, and so you're spending money that you're not going to use. Doesn't make sense. But if you live in a place like where I live in Salt Lake City, and traffic is all over the place. Sometimes it's just barren, and sometimes it's bumper to bumper traffic. So I always get safety tech on my trucks. And in terms of the safety tech I get, I just at least get blind spot monitoring. So I'd recommend, if you're in a city, just get at least blind spot. If you want additional stuff like the adaptive cruise control and all that, sure, go for it, but I wouldn't make that a necessity. I just think that at least blind spot monitoring is a good route to go. Other tech that I get with the Power Wagon would for sure be an upgraded sound system. Now, I know this sounds like a weird thing for me to make this a must-have, but no matter what interior package you get, whether it's the base model or the fully loaded, make sure you get a really nice sound system with the Power Wagon. The reason that you want to do this is when you're going off-road, especially just driving to an off-road location and then driving on the off-road, chances are you're going to spend a lot of hours out there. And yeah, you can have people with you and it's always fun. But what's even more fun is jamming to some tunes while you're on the off-road. And if your sound system sucks, it's not going to be a good time. So make sure to invest into at least the Alpine sound system, or even better yet, get the Harman Kardon sound system in the Power Wagon. And it'll just make your off-roading experience that much better, because you'll have a really cool, awesome sound system while you're going on the off-road, which, yeah, trust me, it sounds like it's stupid, but it's worth it. Especially like the off-roading that I personally do, it takes me an hour to get out there to the closest off-road place that I go to. And then every time I off-road, I'm out there for at least 2 to 3 hours. So 2 to 3 hours with either crappy music or no music at all, right? It doesn't make sense to me. So definitely invest into a sound system. Now, other than that, interior feature-wise, like I said, I recommend the Laramie package with the Power Wagon, just so you can get heated, ventilated seats, all that kind of nice stuff. And that's just what I would do, right? If I was going to buy an off-road truck like what I have now, I want it to be comfortable. I want it to have luxury features so that I can go on the off-road, spend hours there, be really comfortable on the off-road, and then when I drive back, also be comfortable. So just keep that in mind depending on what you're going to use the truck for. The next thing that I would look into is the sunroof itself. I wouldn't recommend getting a sunroof on a Power Wagon personally. Now, the reason I say that is because they don't offer a panoramic. I got one on my Ford Raptor because they offer a panoramic, and it lets a ton of light into the cabin. It's a really nice experience. I don't even open up this little first part of it. I just open up the shade itself like I have opened right now. But the Power Wagons don't offer that. The reason they don't offer a panoramic is no heavy-duty Ram has it. And the reason that no heavy-duty Ram has a panoramic sunroof is there's structural components at the top of the roof, and for them to put a sunroof in, they'd have to get rid of those structural components. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to put a lot of pressure at the top of the roof still whenever you're towing a large trailer. And what Ram was finding is these trucks would have seals break on the sunroof itself, so you get a ton of leaking if it rained or something like that. It happens with Fords all the time that have panoramic sunroofs when people are towing a lot on a regular basis. So they don't offer it on heavy-duty trucks. However, the Power Wagon only tows about 10,000 pounds because of the weak payload, and so you could get a panoramic sunroof on that and it wouldn't cause flexing issues. However, I think Ram is trying to conserve money, and they don't want to spend the development costs it costs to make that specific truck that they don't sell in a very high volume with a panoramic sunroof when none of the other trucks in the heavy-duty lineup have it. So I think that's kind of what's happening. But I mean, you could always go to those like third-party places and get one put in, but it's expensive, but that's a thought. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I would add, because other than that, the Power Wagon comes pretty nice. I mean, yeah, I would probably get a bed liner. Ram boxes, that would depend. So Ram boxes on a Power Wagon are awesome because then you get compartments, which could help on the off-road. I don't like them personally, but if you do fishing or just anything where you can need compartments, definitely recommend getting those on a Power Wagon. And bed liner, I always recommend getting a bed liner on just any truck. The Power Wagons already have nice LED lights, so you don't need to change anything there. They have that winch from the factory. It's synthetic cable, so you already have that off-road stuff. And so, yeah, they come pretty fully loaded. There's just a few options that I would add to the Power Wagon. Now, let's get into the exterior of the truck in terms of design and really colors. Now, the one thing I didn't mention in packages was just the Power Wagon decals. I personally like them. I know that a lot of people don't, but I like it because that's what that truck's all about, right? I added these logos on my Raptor to show that it's a Raptor, but it's also because it looks cool. Like, that's just what off-road vehicles have. They always have decals on them, so I would personally keep them. The one thing to mention is there are 3 color options that are new for 2020, so if you want a cool, unique color, you're gonna have to move up to 2020. It is Hydro Blue, RV Match Walnut Brown, which is kind of ugly, Olive Green, which is pretty cool. I love the Hydro Blue, though. That's like a bright, crazy blue. If you get a Power Wagon, definitely look into getting that color. Now, obviously, there's all the other normal colors. You can get white, black, gray, red, just all the regular colors. But if I was going to get a Power Wagon personally, I would recommend going for something a little bit riskier, right? Get the olive green, get the bright blue, get the bright red, just get something crazier because you're already buying this crazy capable off-road truck. So I don't know, if you're going to spend $70,000 on an off-road truck, you'd probably want it to be flashy and showy. And so I would probably get it in a flashier, showy color. Or if you want to do something more unique and wrap your truck like what I've done with my Raptor, get the truck in black. The reason that you want to get the truck in black if you're going to wrap it is when you wrap over a vehicle that's black, all the parts that are black just kind of meld in with the rest of the truck. There's so many people that see this truck and think it's a factory color, even though it obviously isn't, and it's the weirdest color ever. But all the parts that are black, people kind of forget about them. They don't notice them, or it just kind of, it accents the truck in a good way, and it just kind of looks like shadows on certain parts of the truck. So yeah, if you are going to wrap your Power Wagon, get black as the base color, just because it'll be easier to wrap over and it'll look a whole lot better. But if you're not going to wrap it, Hydro Blue. Hydro Blue. That would look sick on a Power Wagon. Now, let's get into pricing with a Power Wagon, and then we'll finish the video with some common issues that I've seen happen on Power Wagons. Now, in terms of pricing on the Power Wagon, they started actually mid-50s, about $54,000. But most of the Power Wagons that I saw at the dealership would be spec'd up to almost $70,000, and that's because they added the upgraded interior, they'd add the 12-inch screen, they'd add a sunroof, they'd add Ram boxes, bedliner, everything. And so if you get a fully loaded Power Wagon, expect to be sticker price right in about that $70,000 range. Now, Power Wagons typically have the same rebates as any other heavy duty, so whatever the rebates are that month for the heavy duties, the Power Wagons will probably be about the same. In terms of dealership discount, it kind of varies depending on region to region. Now, because the Power Wagons are lower production and dealerships don't always have them on the lot, sometimes they will not be discounted as much. Sometimes they'll even go for MSRP. It just depends. But just like any other truck, obviously try to negotiate, and some dealerships might just view it as another heavy duty that they just want to get off their lot. That's what your hope is, because if the dealership doesn't view it as a Power Wagon and just they view it as this is a 2500 that we want to get off our lot so we can hit our Ram number, then they'll discount it like any other truck. You'll get a great deal on it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So try to look for something like that. Try to avoid a dealership that goes, oh, this is our special Hydro Blue Power Wagon, no discount. Just find a dealership that'll work with you, and I mean, order it from them. I'd recommend so you can get the exact spec you want, because if you're already going to be spending a minimum of 54 grand, if not up to 70 grand, you got to make sure that you get the spec that you want, especially with a crazy off-road truck like the Power Wagon is. Now, I have some great news about the Power Wagon. The biggest problem with the Power Wagon has been fixed for 2019. The biggest issue with the Power Wagon in the past was the transmission, because it used to have the 68 RFE. However, when they went to 2019 for the Power Wagon, they changed to the 8-speed automatic, which just reliability-wise has seemed to be a lot better. It's a lot better paired to that 6.4 Hemi. Just with the gear ratios and everything, that 68 RFE wasn't very good with the Hemi. The 8-speed automatic just does so much better. It drives smoother, better gas mileage. And in terms of just long-term reliability, the Power Wagons have actually seemed to hold up pretty well. The engine's held up well. The truck itself has held up pretty well. I have heard about some stuff with the suspension on the Power Wagon. but I feel like most of that is due to owner use on the truck, kind of similar to probably what will happen with my Raptor when it hits very high miles. Is I expect, obviously, I'm going to use the truck a lot, and whoever buys this truck after I use it, I'm hoping that they'll use it a lot. So most of the issues with Power Wagons that I saw, it just seemed to be the owners. It seems like everything holds up. I've driven really high mileage Power Wagons, and the sway bar link seems to work fine. The axle lock always seems to work fine. I haven't seen any like sagging or anything with suspension. I haven't seen anything crazy happen with them. Maybe it's just that there's not that many out in the market, and that's why I haven't. But it seems like overall the track record that I kind of saw with the Power Wagons is that they were really reliable, especially compared to a regular heavy duty. And now that they have the 8-speed automatic, they're super solid. And so, yeah, in terms of like a reliable truck, they're actually pretty good. Now, that is my buyer's guide for a 2019 to 2020 Ram 2500 Power Wagon. Obviously, I want you guys to give me your thoughts on this particular buyer's guide, but I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below what vehicle you want me to do a buyer's guide on next, or what series of vehicles. Just depends on what it is, right? Like, if it's just a regular Chevy 1500, then yeah, I'll probably just go over kind of like a general overview of all the Chevy 1500s. But if it's something more specialty, like a Power Wagon or like a Ford Raptor, or just something that's a little bit more unique than the regular truck, then I'll probably make a dedicated video to it. That all being said, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and then I will see all of you in that next video.